Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffy Kennedy, author of epic fantasy romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Nirvana. Today is Friday. Oh, wait, we have to say it together. Today is, say it with me, Friday, May 19th. I know I am like off pattern, right? Um, One thing about going down to 2 podcasts a week is like if I miss because of travel, as I have been, then I miss a lot. So it's been 11 days since my last podcast. Um, Bless me, you all. So, but I'm back temporarily. Um, I'll be here, well, obviously today and Monday, and then gone again to WisCon. Busy, busy travel time. Uh, and been busy social week. So, Nebula Conference was amazing. I wish you all had been there. It was fantastic. We had lower in person attendance than we wanted, but it made for this wonderful, intimate conference. I felt like I got to say hello to and talk to most everyone. It was it was just utterly delightful. The hotel was a great venue. It was intimate and um, warm, and the pool area was great. The pool bar was great. Um, yeah, just had a fabulous time. And everybody kept coming up to me and saying how great it was. A lot of first time attendees there. A lot of people that this was their first interaction with SIFWA. So it was really just amazing in every way. I had to go get this kitten because he was sitting by the door crying. He missed me. He misses me when I'm gone. So, so yeah, I got there on Thursday, and um, it was just pretty much nonstop stuff, nonstop socializing that whole time, and got home. Well, we did our all-day board meeting on Monday, and that was great. Monday evening, I got to do an interesting thing. Um, Lindsay Ellis, who some of you may know, I hadn't met Lindsay before. If I had, I'd forgotten. But Lindsay invited us to come out to Beverly Hills to the Soho House, which I hadn't heard of Soho houses before, but they're apparently in a lot of major cities. You can get a membership, and they're set up for creative people and for people to have creative meetings. So Lindsay treated several of us from the board to, now I've cat hair on my face. She treated us to dinner, and we talked about fundraising options for SIFWA. So she's very social media savvy, very smart about how she does. I guess she's been like a YouTube sensation. And I know like I sound old and not in the know saying that because other people are like, duh, Jeffy, she's Lindsay Ellis, YouTube sensation. So anyway, that was really fun. It was fun to go out and have that dinner and see the Soho House. And if there was one in Santa Fe, I would totally join. But maybe I will. Maybe there will be someday. We're probably not a big enough city. But yeah, so that was really cool. I flew home Tuesday and have been working this week. Did a little bit of work last week. I'm past 5,000 words on Onira, the book I'm not supposed to be writing. Um, but it still wants to be written. I tried to go back to Twisted Magic, and Onira is the book that wants to be written. The last time this happened was Dark Wizard, so, and that turned out well. So I'm just kind of going with it. But I will write Twisted Magic. I will get back to that soon. Um, Thursday afternoon, if you're not on video, this kitty is just sitting on my desk looking at me lovingly and being petted. He's pretty cute. Uh, So yeah, last Thursday afternoon, a week ago, we went out on submission with Amethyst Run. It was kind of fun as I was flying to Nebula Conference. I had a layover in Phoenix, and so um, and Sarah needed to go over the final, Agent Sarah needed to go over the final submission list with me. So I sat in an empty gate and went over the final submission list, and we talked about the various editors and so forth. It's kind of a collaborative process. She makes a list of who she thinks the best people to send to are, but then we also talk about, like who I know, who I'm friendly with, you know, my feelings on it, who I do and don't want to work with. So it reminds me, I have to remind myself sometimes of how very cool my life is. That's like um, that my work travel is now traveling to things like Nebula Conference. Okay, I'm gonna get done, and that my layover kind of emergency phone call to have at the empty gate is a discussion of editors and book submissions. So, so that was very cool. Um, so we'll see. Fingers crossed, right? I know you all have been crossing your fingers for me for a long time on this. And let's see. So yeah, still been working on Onira. Oh, and I was saying it's been a social week. So um, Wednesday afternoon, like my first day back, I had a meeting with my friend Minerva Spencer, who comes to town like once a month from Taos. So we had a um, great time sitting and having drinks and talking writing. And then yesterday I had writer coffee. And then last night it's the Santa Fe Literary Festival this weekend and International Literary Festival. And I went to the reception for that. And that was kind of funny because I got invited to the reception because I joined New Mexico Writers, um, which I joined for the express purpose of being invited to this particular reception, um, which is kind of funny, isn't it? Why am I not a member of New Mexico Writers? Because, or hadn't been. They, I don't know that they do lots of stuff. They sponsor a contest. Um, I have funny shadows on my face. No. So part of it is they were only founded in 2016. And I've never perceived them as doing all that much. They have an annual dinner, which is expensive to attend. Um, and I think they're still trying to decide what they are, what they're doing. But also, they have a much more literary bent. And this is kind of the thing about the International Literary Festival, which is in its second year here in Santa Fe. I mean, they're doing cool things, but they are very much focused on like which writers are household names and kind of book club type writers. So I wanted to go to this reception because I feel like it's part of my job as SIFWA president to, this is part of me promoting SFF writers and the genre, right? Because, okay, so hold on. Okay, so this is their lineup of authors, which is a great lineup of authors, but, and I'm not going to get all these pronunciations right. Yvonne Chouinard, Jennifer Egan, Gillian Flynn, John Irving, Colin McCann, David Quammen. I would love to meet David Quammen. Ed Yong, Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah, Hakeem Bellamy, Sandra Blakesley, Denise Chavez, Stanley Crawford, Diana Gabaldon, sort of a gimme for the Southwest here, Laura Furman, Sally Denton, Natalie Goldberg, Natachi Momaday Gray, Roshi Joan Halifax, Priyanka Kumar. Priyanka was at the reception last night. John Krakauer, Cheryl Alters Jameson, Layla Lalami, Lucy Lippard, Beth Macy, Jill Momaday, Michael McGarity, Kathleen McCleary, N. Scott Momaday, Manuel Munoz, Kate Nelson, Alexander Parsons, Carmela Padilla, who is one of the founders of the Lit Festival. It's funny that she's one of the authors as well. It's funny, it says journalist, author, and native New Mexican. Michelle Otero, Douglas Preston, Ingrid Rojas Contreras, Esteban Raul Galvez, Hampton Sides, Namwali Serpel, Marin Sardi, Deborah Taffa, David Chura, Patricia Trujillo, Don J. Usner, and Luis Alberto Orea. So anyway, it's a literary festival, right? So they don't really include the genre writers, right? As lowly genre writers. Why are we still doing this? Why is there this push pull? Why can't we all get along? So of course, George R. R. Martin is an honored guest. He's not on the list. I think he was one of the authors last year. Who knows? He probably didn't want to participate extensively, knowing George. In fact, so he was there at the reception last night, and I heard him saying something that people at Santa Fe Magazine were talking about wanting to interview him. And he was saying, well, as soon as he finishes this novel, which I confess I snickered into my rosé. It's like, yeah, when you finish that novel, George, all kinds of things are going to happen. And I say this with love. I say this with love. Maybe he's close. Anyway, so backing up, I walk into this reception, and it's like, okay, it's a New Mexico Writers Reception. I pre-registered, so they have the name tag for me. I grab my little button that says New Mexico author. And of course, I do what I do when I arrive at any party. I go looking for the bar. And so I'm wending my way through to the bar and looking at faces and looking at people. And I'm thinking, I do not know anybody at this party. I don't know anybody. And people, I mean, I may not be a New Mexico native. I find that funny. That used to be a big deal in Wyoming too. People were like, I'm a Wyoming native. It's like it only counts if you're actually born in a place. But I've been in New Mexico for almost 14 years now. Santa Fe is not a big town, 90,000 people. I know a lot of the writers and literary community here, right? I didn't know anybody at this party. And I'm thinking, wow, how do I not know anybody here? So I get my glass of rosé, which is at the far end, and I start coming back, and I see Melinda Snodgrass. Not only practically a neighbor and a good friend, and her face lights up, and she's like, "Oh, Jeffy, I'm so happy to see you," and I hug her, and I was like, I was just thinking, I know nobody at this party, but here you are, and she's like, I know nobody at this party. Melinda is a New Mexico native, been in Santa Fe all her life, and obviously very, very connected into the literary community. And she knows nobody at this party. It was funny. I mean, it was funny, people. But then George arrived, being an honored guest. And so we went over to say hi to George and sat with him. And so that was good because then people kind of came to us because everybody wants to say hi to George. And then there was like a little talkie thing. And I made a point of going to introduce myself to some people. And I went to that Carmela Padilla, New Mexico native and author and journalist, co-founder of the festival. Melinda and I sort of stopped on the outskirts of her conversational group, wanting to introduce ourselves. And she, like, at first didn't even see that we were standing there. I think she was very distracted by running the reception, and ended up walking away. So I didn't introduce myself then. So then they do the introduction thing, speech, 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 and Carmela does the speeches, and then they also have a gal there from the Authors Guild, and doing the rah rah Authors Guild thing. So I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but I have issues with the Authors Guild. As both a writer and as president of SIFWA. Do I keep saying that on this podcast? Very often, Authors Guild is asking us to sign on to things that we elect not to sign on to. And they give us very, very short turnarounds sometimes, saying, oh, well, we have to do this within 24 hours. And our board is not going to make decisions in 24 hours. What they really want is just for us to sign off on whatever they think is the right thing, which is implicit. They have, I suppose, to their credit, an unshakable belief in the rightness of their take on things. The thing is we don't always agree. I find a lot of their positions to be antiquated. Uh, they have an extreme focus on traditional publishing that I don't know if they've relaxed it somewhat, but there's been some really unfortunate things over the years where high profile authors like John Grisham say things about how, you have to be successful as an author, you have to work with a publisher. It leaves out the fact that publishing has changed so dramatically over the years. Just as this International Literary Festival is focusing on traditionally published writers, book club books, um, the more literary thing, and ignoring the fact that genre readers are what's keeping the industry afloat, right? All of you who read romance, who read science fiction and fantasy, who read the crossovers, um, we're not considered good enough to be invited to these things, but we're the ones keeping the industry going. I mean, the numbers are undeniable that way. It's interesting because the reason Melinda was invited to this party was because George insisted. She happened to be there at, I think at Beasley Books or something, when one of the other co-organizer, Claire, and I'm sorry I didn't catch Claire's last name. Maybe I can get it. Claire Hertel. So the co-founders are Claire Hertel, Mark Bryant, and Carmela Padilla. Um, I really liked Claire a whole lot. So apparently Claire had stopped in to say hi to George or what have you. And George had said, this is Melinda Snodgrass, my best friend. You should invite her to be part of this. It's like, Melinda, you all have heard me talk about her before. Melinda's amazing. Why wasn't she invited to this kind of thing without that prompting? So it was interesting. I did go introduce myself to the Authors Guild, and we chatted briefly. And I introduced myself as president of Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association. And I think she didn't completely listen, because then she asked me if I was a member of Authors Guild. And I didn't say stridently no. I just said, no, I'm a member of SIFWA. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. And I said, and also the president. And and another guy had joined us at that point. And he's like, she's not just a member, she's the president. And it's like, yeah. So it was interesting. I did talk to the editors of Santa Fe magazine briefly. I was going to introduce myself to the guy who was the editor. It sort of did the walking up towards him at the party, and he glanced at my name tag and glanced away again, and kept walking. So I was like, oh, I guess I didn't register. But then when I was with George, we ended up having a conversation. So, and then I did meet several other people, really great people who are doing wonderful work promoting literacy in Santa Fe. A terrific gal whose name I don't recall, but I handed out a lot of my cards last night. So that was great. Everybody has my cards now, so hopefully people will email me. I bet the poet laureate of Santa Fe, who was feeling kind of a little bit, we had a funny conversation. It was like, well, you'll note that he was not among those featured writers for the festival. So who knows? It's a thing. There is the snobbery. I said something to Melinda about this kind of party being a tail-sniffing event, and she cracked up. She said, that is such a perfect way to put it. And I was like, when I was a newbie writer, my friend and I came up with that, because, it's like there's this certain kind of, there's the wealthy people who support art and love it and support writing, and which is great. But then, there's this whole thing where people sort of do the tail sniffing, where they glance at your name tag and they decide, are you worth talking to? Um, yeah, the world, right? Peopling. So, and it was funny because a lot of people asked me if I was going to be participating in the literary festival this weekend. I was like, no, I wasn't invited. Maybe I will be next year. All right, well, I'm going to get to work. It's nice to be back and talking to you all. I would say maybe I will podcast on Monday. And I would say maybe I'll podcast from Wisconsin, but who knows? You know how I am. So, hope you all are having a terrific and productive week and looking forward to the weekend. And I will talk to you all on Monday. You all take care. Bye bye.